Alright, welcome back to Roguetech, and welcome back to your first playthrough. So, we have successfully dropped, and the Irby has taken the first shot of the mission. It missed. So, we are going to, right now, before we even act with anyone, go over quickly what we learned last time. Turrets, all direct fire. One of the turrets, electronic warfare. The light command bunker has electronic warfare, but that also means it's going to have very short range on its weapon systems. So, as long as we can manipulate line of sight, we can keep these turrets from shooting at us as long as possible, preferably until we've dispatched all of the mobile forces. The Ripper is carrying a Pirate ECM, which is the giant green circle. In addition to that, we have a Mockingbird with an unknown payload, but since it's so many energy weapons on a relatively light helicopter, I would venture a guess that it's either medium lasers or possibly small lasers, some other kind of, low damage weapon. I wouldn't be too worried about it being like a group of PPCs or anything crazy like that. The Copperhead, we did identify it has tandem missiles. So we actually may want to wait to destroy the Ripper until after it fires its tandem, if we're not going to be able to destroy it before it does so. And based on the armor and structure it has,
yes, Commander,
we might be able to. So now that we actually can shoot, you can see all of the dotted lines to the enemies that can actually shoot us and that we can shoot have been replaced with colored lines, which makes this far easier to discuss. Now, the Irby. Specifically, any urban mech, except for there's a few variants of urban mech that have a equally scary weapon on each arm, but for the most part, similar to a hunchback, Irbies will always have their primary weapon on their right arm. Just like a hunchback always has its primary weapon loadout in its right torso. Centurions, I believe, always have their primary weapon on their left arm, etc., etc. So once you gain, a better just blanket knowledge of the different chassis and how they are generally set up, you can often develop better strategies for dealing with and targeting individual units. Since the Irby's primary weapon is on its right arm, and since we know it's an AC-10 with a small laser, I don't really want to shoot it from the left side, which is the side I currently have available to shoot. So the urban mech, because of its positioning, is dropped down on our list of target, on our priority list for the targets we have. The Ripper, again, since it does have the scramble for allies and enemies alike, we're kind of tempted to keep it alive until after the Copperhead drops its payload, unless we're able to destroy the Copperhead before it shoots. And if we're able to destroy the Copperhead before it shoots, we can then shoot the Ripper without any real concerns. And there we go. We now have sensor information because Braver apparently got a pretty good sensor roll. So we have 4 medium lasers on the Mockingbird, one of which is destroyed. And other than that, it's O. Bomb cluster, WM. Weapon mount. So this is one of the changes that was made with the handheld rework, is the way bombs and other, carried munition works. So this is going to be my first time seeing what a weapon-mounted bomb looks like. And that's interesting. I am under the impression, based on the conversation and information that I've gathered, that the bomb cluster is no longer... You used to have to be basically point blank to use bombs from a VTOL, which would result generally in the VTOL being damaged, but I understand that's not the case anymore. So this Mockingbird has gone from, oh, it's just a couple lasers, not a big deal, to possibly the scariest thing on the board right now. because I do not know exactly what a bomb cluster does, how much damage it'll do, how much stability it'll do, and bombs traditionally you don't really need to hit with. You can miss and still do a lot of, at the very least, stability damage or heat damage or whatever based on the type of bomb it is. So, that is now a much larger concern. So yeah, the Ripper has dropped in target priority with the learning that the other two have the payloads they have. Worth noting though, the heavy rifle on the Copperhead is crit, which means it has reduced accuracy, and it's doing the thing where the pop-ups are not updating. There they are. Yeah. So that's a tough call on whether the Mockingbird or the Copperhead are the higher priority.
Need something, Chief?
But the absolute highest priority is not giving the turrets line of sight. Because no matter how bad these vehicles are gonna, harm us, it's going to be less bad if we're not also being harmed by the turrets. And to that end, I'm very tempted to try to find a position where I can get unobstructed on the Mockingbird. That looks like unobstructed. And right now it's giving us an estimate of 12.5 hit chance with the medium lasers, which, considering the ECM, the Pirate ECM's scrambling us, that's not terrible. So, again, we don't really want to shoot the Irby from this side. And getting closer to the Irby is mildly dangerous, but it has already acted this round. And the other thing over here, the dotted line, is to the building, so I'm not too worried about that. But for some reason, it's not showing us the Gauss turret. And if you don't see an enemy, if you don't know an enemy exists, that means you don't get the dotted line to show whether or not you're giving it line of sight. And if I had to guess, I would say this spot probably is giving it line of sight. Which is, less than ideal. And that obviously is giving the turret up top line of sight. I mean, distance could be our friend here. If we find a position where we are in range to shoot at something without getting shot by everything, that would be ideal. I am kind of tempted to just go for it and hope that the light Gauss turret does not have line of sight here. But this dotted line is definitely to the large building, so the high ground turrets do not have line of sight here. It's just whether or not the light Gauss does. And a light Gauss rifle versus a Locust is a bad time. Very, very bad time. I think what I'm actually going to do is reserve here. I'm in a very defensive position. I know for a fact, based on my reposition round and the, information I had there, that none of the turrets can shoot any of my units. Which means if I give the turrets a turn, they're going to just reserve or completely pass. And Copperhead did nothing. Here comes the Mockingbird. There's the bombs. Okay, not terrible. Not good, but not terrible. Alright. So that could have gone much worse, but the bombs definitely, I don't know if you saw the small explosion of the impacts. They did not directly hit anything, but they did land on either side of the Chasseur, so it has now lost almost half of its side armor and about a third of its front armor. Ish. Actually, a little, probably closer to a quarter than a third. In any case, the Chasseur took most of the damage, the Stealth took a little damage, but those bombs, single use. So we don't have to worry about the bombs anymore, which means the Mockingbird again, has adjusted the priority. Now that it has gone and dropped its payload, it is no longer as high of a priority as it was. We do still have the tandem on the Copperhead, but it has moved further away. Actually, is it stuck? I didn't pay close enough attention to exactly what hex it started in, so I don't know if it's actually able to get off of this little plateau it's on, or if it just had to move around and not shoot because it was out of range. Unknown. But it is farther away than anything else immediately, you know, present. So
I hear ya.
as much as I would love to keep the ECM jamming the potential tandem missiles, I think taking the light PPC down, and I definitely want unobstructed line of sight if possible. Then again, with obstructed line of sight, we would still be doing about 22 damage with the medium laser. And if we hit the back, that would not be enough to destroy. Unobstructed line of sight would be 25 damage, which should be, based on the health or the armor and structure values I'm seeing, that should be enough if we hit rear to destroy. And side, we would have to hit one of the two SRMs as well as the medium laser on the same side to destroy. But I think definitely unobstructed line of sight is the way to go here. And since we can only get front shots on the Copperhead, which is where it has the most structure and armor, 95 total compared to 60 total, I think we're definitely going to focus on taking down the Ripper. Continuing to try to maintain the break of line of sight to the turrets. So this is just the building again, that one single dotted line heading in that direction. But yeah, let's I also don't like the idea of giving side shot to the Irby, but it should be fine. Our assassin has some decent armor values, so as long as the Irby doesn't get behind us, it should be fine. Like that, the left arm's a shield arm anyway, and that's the only thing the Irby could destroy with a single AC-10 shot. And we are running a standard engine, not an XL, so our assassin can actually get banged up pretty good and still be fine. Also, I need to keep in mind it has actually a decent number of jump jets, so we might be able to jump into a position next round to shoot the Copperhead in the back. And in case you noticed, the Copperhead started with damage to its rear. So that means we only need probably just the medium laser to hit rear of the Copperhead to destroy it. Maybe. Obviously, better sensor information would be nice so that we could see exactly how much out of 40 the armor is, but for now, let's just focus on the immediate pressing concern. Alright, we only hit the medium laser, but we did hit the medium laser. And it hit side instead of rear, which means now all we have to do is have basically anything land on a follow-up shot to the side. And that thing will go down. Now, the Hornet is a 20-tonner. The Hornet is a 20-tonner that does not have a significant amount of armor. But if we position here, we would be shooting the Ripper from the front instead of the side. But it would prevent the turret from getting a shot on us. Alternatively, we could swing further over and shoot specifically at the Mockingbird. So once again, dotted line is going to the building. The turrets can't shoot us, and I think that is the best call. Now, it does present the issue of once the Irby moves, if it's shooting at the assassin, it might hit the Hornet with a stray shot. If it's shooting at the Hornet, it might hit the assassin with a stray shot. But I'm hoping I'll be able to get work done and that maybe won't be so much of a problem. Those hit chances, though. Yeah, Bugbear's got 2 gunnery and probably has no sensors, right? No, actually doesn't have no sensors. Amazing. But yeah. So we either have those hit chances or those hit chances. The Deadfire ammo does reduce. So there's still a minimum range with LRMs. With Inner Sphere stock standard LRMs, there's a minimum range. Deadfire reduces the minimum range, but it doesn't eliminate it. So you could see the minimum range is 90, and this Ripper is within the 90. So we're done. We're not going to shoot at it, I don't think. Plus, the hit chances aren't that much better compared to just shooting at the Mockingbird and hoping something sticks. So we're going to do exactly that. We did 1 damage. How did we do 1 damage? I'm actually very confused by that. It said 1 damage. It looks like we did 1 damage to the turret. But we don't have any weapons that only do 1 damage. In any case, moving on. Here we go. This is the shot I was looking for. So, with our Locust, we again, none of the turrets can see us. We again are, kind of lining up for the Irby to potentially get a flanking stray shot on all of our units. But taking down the Ripper before it acts is a more valuable proposition while leaving the other turrets with the turrets unable to shoot us. If we can take down the Ripper, that's 1/4 of the enemies that could shoot us. So we're gonna do exactly that, and if we can destroy it before it acts, even better. So here we go with a side strike. We have no minimum ranges, and again we can kick up to ×6, and all we lose as far as the higher rate of fire is the higher jam chance. But if we can kill the Ripper, which with only 5 armor left in that location, the machine gun may be able to crit through armor even if the medium laser doesn't. Even if the medium lasers don't hit. So here goes nothing. There we go. Engine destroyed. That is 1 of our 4 defending enemies down. What is that? Okay, situation has changed. What was that? Was that the command bunker? Or was that the turret? Ah, that's the turret we couldn't see. That completely changes everything. It is a light LRM turret. So it will be able to fire indirectly at us no matter where we are. Now, indirect fire does have a massive penalty to hit, but it looked like it was firing some kind of swarm missiles, which are guaranteed to do chip damage. Which means if we don't deal with that turret sooner than later, we will get slowly whittled down and eventually potentially at risk for losing something. So, we need to get on with things, and the best way I think we have to get on with things is to kind of stick to the plan, because that turret's also the furthest back. So, with the consideration that the Schroesser has taken damage to the left side, for now, I think I would rather keep a twist going where the enemy can only shoot us in the right side. Now, this position, you can see the dotted line to the light Gauss emplacement. Having the light Gauss emplacement able to take a shot is less than ideal. And because of that, we probably either just travel through the wood or through the forest to take a shot at the Mockingbird, or we swing out to try to take a shot at the Copperhead without getting shot at by the turrets directly. Also, now that we know that there's a LRM turret that has AoE damage, staying further apart and kind of scattering is going to help mitigate some damage we would otherwise be taking. This is actually an interesting position. It looks like from this exact hex, none of the turrets can directly target us, but we do get unobstructed line of sight to the Copperhead as well as the Irby, and, you know, the Mockingbird that's right there. Now, we are shooting in the direction of our Hornet's back, which is not ideal, but specifically shooting at a VTOL or the Copperhead at such a high elevation, if you kind of zoom in on where you're at and you look at the position you're considering shooting from, I think you kind of imagine like a cone with that as the point at the top and then, you know, spreading out from there. We would have to get a very, very horrible miss. Like, for it to just go straight into the Hornet's back, that would have to be an impressively bad miss. And we would be moving instead of sprinting, so our accuracy would be up. And this is also a good time to talk about turrets on vehicles. So the Chasseur has a turret. Its primary weapon, the AC-10, and the secondary weapon, the machine gun, are on the turret. Vehicles that have turrets can shoot in a 360 degree. Well, most of them. I think there are some vehicles where the turret can only shoot like 270 or something like that, but the main thing to note is that you can face a completely different direction than what you're shooting in. That can allow you to either negate the people that are shooting at you from having flanking shots or rear shots for bonus accuracy, or control which side their munitions will hit. So we are at 47 armor, 15 structure on the left side. If the AC-10 from the Urban Mech hits the left side, we will be left with 2 structure. If it hits anywhere else, we're not even to structure yet. So it may be a good idea, at least until the Urban Mech goes down, to keep our left side away from the Urban Mech. Now, we will be giving the Copperhead and the Mockingbird side strikes, which will give them effectively +1 accuracy to hit us. But I think that's worth not giving the Irby a chance to just one-shot us. Did I just sprint or move? Talking instead of thinking. Moved self +1. Okay. There we go. So we have a 27% firing on the Copperhead. Or we have a 29.8 on the Mockingbird. Now the Mockingbird actually has way more armor than the Copperhead, which I think I got it confused with a different helicopter that is more like the Ripper. So yeah, no, the Mockingbird is not a super light helicopter like the Ripper is. So it's still a light because it has 10 structure per location. It's just not like negligible light. So yeah, I think just because of the impact, like if we do land this AC-10 shot on the Copperhead, it's either going to destroy it from the rear, destroy it from the side, or rip off almost all of its armor from the front. Versus the Mockingbird that largely wouldn't care, especially since we're shooting the Mockingbird from the front. So I will commit, and I actually landed it, but it did not do full damage because I failed to consider cover. But he is open. We did take down all of the armor on the side. But yeah, I failed to consider that we were shooting him not from the back, and he was in a forest, so he had cover. Now then, stealth. I really want to get the stealth closer to the Irby, because the stealth can start punching the Irby sooner than later. That said, I really don't want to cluster up now that I especially know that there's an LRM turret dropping some kind of swarm. So I think I'm going to do something very similar to what I did with the Chasseur, with the stealth. Except I do have to be careful because the Chasseur did pick the, or take the, I think, most optimal spot. So, flames. I I will address flames in more detail at a later time when they're more relevant, but since there is a little fire right there, I think I just did it without even thinking about it. But you want to avoid driving through fire with vehicles because they will take damage driving through fire. Because I know I went... Yeah. But basically the two paths I was debating between for the Schrosser was like driving through the forest forward, which would have dodged the flames, I think, and taking this side route, which dodged the flames. Running through flames with a mech is just going to generate some heat, so it's not nearly as bad of an idea. But yes, from this position, we could shoot the Mockingbird on the side with, honestly, our highest damage mech. But we would, again, be clustering up. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick the mask on. And I'm going to see what we can maybe make work here. So this does give us the ability to swing out super wide. Which, again, until we destroy more of this initial force, we don't really want to give any of the turrets line of sight if we can avoid it. We are able to get much further up into the face of the urban mech, but again, shooting it from the left is less than ideal. So I think the play is definitely going to be along the lines of prevent turret line of sight while shooting at something, just like we've been discussing. And I'm not seeing a particularly good position. We could actually shoot at the turret there, but that's not, again, the best idea. If we just stick close, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to shoot anything but the Irby. Also, running over rough terrain is less than ideal if you already have stability damage, which we do from the bomb. I think I'd actually rather move, which means I'm going to turn the mask back off. I just wanted to mostly see where I could move with the mask. And, oof. Just not great. My choices are either give turrets line of sight, barely move and thus generate very little evasion, or basically just shoot something other than the Schrosser. But I definitely... Moving to drop the stability damage we have is very good. Very good idea. Because getting knocked unsteady means no matter what we get for evasion, we will lose it. Honestly, shooting with obstructed line of sight would not be that terrible of an idea. Because even with full damage, it would take 2 SRMs hitting side to destroy. And even with reduced damage, a single medium laser hitting side will destroy the Copperhead. So I think I'm fine with the obstructed line of sight. It will give us an accuracy penalty. But this does prevent us from... It does prevent us from having the issue of letting turrets shoot at us. Like there, again, I don't know if you can see the dotted line going to the Gauss turret, the light Gauss turret. It does line us up for stray shots, but it gives us 3 evasion and cover, and gives us the target that we want, without giving the turrets line of sight to destroy us. So I think that is the best option. And I'm going to commit to it.
Affirmative.
So by moving, we dropped the stability damage. If we had sprinted, we would still have it. Again, the mask did not give us a hex that was particularly more interesting than the ones we can move to. That's a miscalculation. I failed to take into consideration that from that hex, only the street can fire. So this is actually a great example of relying too much on the lines and not relying enough on the rest of the interface. If I had left-clicked and with the firing arc hovered over the target, I would have been able to see what weapons were able to fire at that range. But I did not. Which means, I guess we're shooting the Mockingbird from the front. which is literally the worst of... Actually, I don't feel like it's valuable shooting the Mockingbird in the front. I'm actually going to brace. So by bracing, I have gotten an additional 20% damage reduction, which is largely relevant because we are so heavily lined up for stray shots, and because I don't feel like that Alpha Strike would have done much of anything to the Mockingbird. Now then, let me check real quick. Nope, okay. So, with the Chasseur, now that it's a new round, if we can get the AC-10 shot to land this time back or side, that will kill the Copperhead. So, I'm very interested in getting that shot. Unfortunately, that shot does come with the price of letting turrets have line of sight. Actually, before I commit to anything, does the sniper turret tell us... pair of AC-5s. Okay, so the range of the AC-5 is not as long as the AC-2 range, but it does do 45 damage instead of, I believe, 20. Which...
Standing by.
The Chasseur could actually afford to soak both AC-5 shots as long as they don't both hit the same location. Like, as long as both AC-5s hit different locations, the Chasseur will survive. And that's assuming they both hit in general. So, by positioning way over here, this sniper turret gets a shot on us. We get a shot on the Copperhead. And hopefully... Actually, it's turn 10. The Copperhead is turn 10. I think I'm actually going to reserve with the Chasseur. And hopefully some of the stuff that might, like the turret, that might be able to shoot it if we push like that, will hopefully take their turns. And hopefully, hopefully Tainted Loki still gets a turn. Nope, he does not. Alright, so we're going to have to destroy the Copperhead with something else. And I assume... So, the Urban Mech did not fire its autocannon. I assume that's because AC-10s do have recoil. Why is it red? Okay, so... For some reason, the AC-10 is now red. AC-10 ammo, 0 out of 10. What? Why? Alright, first of all, the Urban Mech doesn't matter anymore. It's just a small laser. Did it just spawn in with a single shot for its AC-10? Or did the Mechwarrior jettison... Okay, we actually have full information. The the Mechwarrior type is Janxious. So I assume that means he accidentally jettisoned his AC-10 ammo. So we can just ignore him, basically. Until we get close enough for him to be able to waddle over and kick us or punch us. It's just a small laser. The Mockingbird, likewise, ran away. So... I do like the idea of starting to close with the turrets. And again, we've discovered that the stealth does not have the range to be able to fire on the Copperhead. And again, we can turn the mask on and off freely because it's a 0% fail chance. So if we were to hypothetically run, we could shoot the Copperhead from the front. And in order to shoot it from the side at any point, we would have to swing out and potentially give a turret a shot on us. So I think I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to just move for 6 evasion. only have line of sight to the large building and the Irby, and try to shoot the Mockingbird in the rear. And that's a heck of a hit chance, especially with the streak too. Again, streak SRMs are able to ignore evasion and have bonus accuracy. So, very respectable hits. We only need to do 30 more damage to the rear of it, or 16 damage to its turret.
I'm receiving you.
Still a bit of an ask with early game Mechwarriors, but it is more interesting than not. So, with the LRM-5, we would be able to fire with 6 damage per missile at the Copperhead, but that's it, and we would be giving the AC-5s a chance to shoot us. And if we do anything like this to be closer, we still wouldn't be able to shoot our medium laser or small laser. Okay. That's all I needed to know. Yeah, let's actually fall back a little bit then with the Hornet. Again, the Hornet is the slower moving of our 20-tonners. And I think I'm okay sprinting to this position. Yes, anyone who gets line of sight to us will be able to shoot with a +1 accuracy, but the Copperhead is not going to be able to get line of sight easily. We're going to be able to shoot everything at the Mockingbird from the rear. And the Irby's just a small laser. So it's a very, very safe little nook that we've tucked ourselves into there. So, there goes nothing. Everything missed. Beautiful. These things happen, especially early game. Okay, that sounded like an autocannon shot. Ah, turn 10, huh? That was the Copperhead. Now, he did stand and shoot. And as I mentioned whenever I was discussing the tandem ammunition, the fact that there is no other direct through armor damage that I'm aware of on the enemy side means that anything now is much easier to deal with, and we don't have to worry quite as much. So the call out that Horik made, or Tainted Loki made, about a critical hit is noteworthy because there was no actual component crit. That's just sometimes what they'll say whenever you're taking through armor damage. But I can confirm, looking through everything on the vehicle, I'm not seeing anything in red. I'm not seeing any reason to believe that anything actually did get crit. So that's cool. It's just we took structure damage, which without any other tandem munitions to follow up on, I'm not super worried about. It also looks like, even though I think the autocannon or the rifle did hit, it looks like they didn't do much. Our front was at 77, I believe, so we took 14 damage there. And since we lost 7 structure, I believe that means that damage was all from just the tandem rockets. So, yeah, best case scenario, honestly, for the tandem rockets going off. Also, the Copperhead did not move. That should be an easy kill as soon as we decide to take it. But now we have the point of, we have the 3 enemies right up in our face that we still need to deal with. And we have the turrets that we need to start worrying about now that our positioning is either dance back and forth or push forward and deal with the turrets. And I think this is actually one of those situations where it's viable to just dance back and forth. Now, the dotted lines, if you can't swing your mech to look at them, will not tell you whether it's an enemy or, you know, what. So you can actually click on sprint to get a better idea, to be able to swing over and say, okay, yeah, it is still the large building, and it is still the Irby that is getting line of sight from this particular hex. So I switch back to move, I move, and I shoot on the Mockingbird. Again, now the Mockingbird is a higher threat than the than the Copperhead because the Copperhead already dumped its rockets. So we have an not AC-10, a heavy rifle firing either damage or firing either stability damage more than anything, or firing heavy rifle that just does less damage to structure. So, another 25 damage to the Mockingbird. Eventually it'll go down.
Standing by.
The Locust actually is fast enough to potentially swing out, possibly get a shot on the Mockingbird without giving any turrets an angle. That does give the sniper turret an angle right there. So does that. That definitely does. Or we could actually swing back like this, which only gives the Mockingbird... Yeah, that's where we go. Only gives the Mockingbird and the Copperhead a shot, and we know the medium laser's longer range, like the longest range weapon we have, so definitely able to shoot the laser since we have the green line. That said, do we actually want to get close enough to shoot the Mockingbird with our machine guns? Because again, the Mockingbird is almost open from the rear. And that might be the difference between a medium laser destroying it and the machine guns destroying it. And again, this is the only disadvantage of this is the Irby is going to get a shot on us. So yeah, we're actually going to move and shoot with the Locust into cover. Again, shooting at somebody who is in cover is effectively the same as 2 evasion, because it's a penalty of 2 to hit. Increases the difficulty by 2. And yeah, again, we're just gonna go all in. There we go. There is 3 medium lasers off the board. So we just removed a 75 damage alpha strike from the enemy team.
Yeah.
Alright, Tainted Loki. With the same consideration, actually, I kind of am tempted to just do something like this. Quick sprint to check. Yeah. From this hex, the only thing that can shoot us at present is the Copperhead. Or the LRMs indirectly, but that's fine. Copperhead, if we hit side or rear, we destroy. We hit front. That's fine. I will take whatever damage I can get. They're firing swarm missiles on the Chasseur, which is kind of good, kind of bad. The good thing is the Chasseur is soaking the majority of the damage, has a lot of armor, so it's kind of fine until it's not. And once it's not fine, we can run away, hopefully, successfully. But for the time being, it's kind of preferable for the swarm missiles to hit the one target in isolation compared to the 20 tonners that are very close to each other. So I'll take it. I'll take it, and I'll like it. It's fine. Yeah, here we are, the same issue of only the streak able to shoot. So, escape out to back out of that. I don't really like the idea of shooting him from the front. Then again, the front is getting kind of slim on armor itself. It's just the chance of hitting right side is less than ideal. So I would definitely rather shoot it from the side. But is there a hex where I can shoot it from the side with everything? And actually, I'm just going to kind of poke around. So from here, that is everything. So that would be able to shoot absolutely everything. But it would also give both the Gauss turret as well as the Autocannon 5 turret a shot. What about this? Okay, here the Autocannon turret gets an angle on us, but the Gauss turret does not. Actually, I'm already at 45 minutes, and I'm about to discuss a advanced topic. So, we'll get into that next time. For now, that's been your episode of Roguetech for the day. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, have a good one.